All right, good morning. We were hoping for more downside here at the open, not happening. End of the day, I said, well, maybe they can gap it above today's high, which is now yesterday's high, and it's almost there. So, uh, so buyers have the ball, so to speak, and it's up, they have in their hands to fumble it as well. We'll see. Yesterday was a side chop day, which potentially to build a support area. It was a messy one. You can see flip flopping back and forth here. And prices were a bit higher, right? 394 and change, which is right at the top of yesterday's high that you can see on the daily chart, which normally would be a good start, to being moving up. And as you can see, there's really nothing to stop it. This was from the past that was over here. And let's say that 400 area would be the sticking point if it can hold here to get up there, that whole number. And that would be a pretty big move intraday. Of course, we'll just have to see if it rattles around here and this comes back up. So, top of the topping tail. Look at the futures. And we have a topping tail yesterday, 24 hours, and it's kind of a little bit grinder up there. And then sellers came in at the pivot and it flipped back up, got a little bit higher. Hesitancy. We'll have to see what happens here in the first, 10 minutes or so. It moves back and forth, see if it can hold on here. Does it retrace toward this area up there, which is not going to really change too much. It's really about, can it hold on? What does it look like at the end of the day? Can it actually hold on to some gain? And how deep can buyers push it down the field, so to speak? We'll look at this as a football game and, starting out at this end zone and this one, how far can they get over the period of time that they have today? If it just stays down here, it leads me to think that they're weak, and maybe it's going to be another day of consolidation. So, we'll see. They do have the opportunity to run it up into this void above. So this little congestion area right there, these overlapping bars, it's really, I don't know why I can't grab this damn thing. There you go. Those overlapping bars right there. I'm going to scroll this back. And it isn't much. That's over there. But when you see the overlapping bars in a higher time frame, the overlapping opens and closes, there's going to be some type of resistance there. I don't know if that's what it's reacting to right here or just hesitancy. But that's the only resistance. And then, the whole number of 4,000, whatever open interest there might be in options that could stall it. But, this is the idea of a void, and there's nothing to the left to stop it from going up. Of course, it could just stop right here. You've got pivots at relatively close levels. And if it just rolls right to the downside here, well, then, that upside potential seems to be, will not seem, it'll begin to evaporate pretty quickly. That's my big, for us saying, first few minutes of the day be dominated by response to big OPEC's repositioning. All right, so we'll see. There'll be some wiggles around, and I think whatever they're going to do, it's not going to change what's going on here. Big picture, inflation, um, supply chain, whatever, baby formula, you know, the stupidity of wanting to print more money and all of that. So hey, PT Buck, SPY has void to 391. Well, spiders, SPX, um, saying to the downside. Well, yeah, but this doesn't trade that actively. It's better to look at the futures, get a better idea. And so you can see this level right here. It's stopping at this pivot. It has begun to roll over, but that doesn't mean a lot. At the open, this could flip right back up again, and just what's going on pre-market on lower volume. But the most significant area on the futures, you can see this cluster of pivots right here is where you'll find if there's going to be buyers stepping up, that'll be the area. So somewhere around 39.16, give or take, down there, if it was to flow all the way down there. And so looking at that and seeing, where that puts prices in relation to the daily chart, it would just be pretty much neutral, running in place. And, just bring you back to, can they hold here, get it back up? And if they can jiggle it up here for a while, well, then of course that opens up the door to going higher. But let's look at the cues here. And it's the same story. There's a cluster of pivots down here. Maybe better to use something like this, right? It's just an area. We'll turn it green. So you see all of these pivots clustered around there. That's the most recent one that it would come down to, which will be under 12,000. So, maybe a little psychological thing about whether it holds 12,000 or not. You can see on the hourly chart, that red bar ignored. QQQ, which whatever news there, 4 o'clock in the morning, whatever happened, or just the bad data, I don't know. But 291-ish, 295. So it had gotten up to yesterday's high. And now it's still up relatively close to it. It's just and the the 15-minute chart, seeing where things are at, we're just continuing. In essence, we're just continuing yesterday's mess. Getting up to the top of the range, and sellers came in and knocked it down. And then when the S&Ps got up to the top of the range yesterday, I mentioned in the room, hey, at that moment, I said the financials are at the top of the range and the Qs are showing relative weakness. And if sellers are going to step it up here, this is where they're going to do it. And, they did. And not that it was something big that happened, but, things were initially looking, hey, this looks somewhat bullish at the time, where it was kind of rattling around here and holding, and then it cleared this and this pivot, and then I mentioned, it just came up to the next pivot and just got slammed back down again. So we're in the same spot. Let's see what it does here. It's going to open up in this 15 minutes before the open, but just at the top of the trading range. So really no big deal going on here. And when we went over that, it's going to be the same story. range. The Dow, that was the weaker, just flip-flopping around here, no big deal. Same story, pivots up here. If it clears this, suggests it can go higher. Nothing changed on the weekly. It's bearish. This is bearish. And the Russell, little extra strength. Why? Nothing exciting here, but so I look at biotech and KBE. That was doing better yesterday in the financials, and then they gave it back. So more confirmation of what the trouble this market is in. There's nothing really decisive here, one way or the other. Bitcoin, nothing. This is basically nothing going on here. And silver trying to come off of the lows a bit there. Gold. It doesn't look like it's going to be an exciting day, meaning some big movement, but let's see what the reaction is to the, at least this initial move up and what McGraw mentioned about this repositioning and what happens after 15 minutes or so of whatever jiggles that's going to occur. This is still going up, saying the market's kind of knocking Powell on the head and saying 3/4, you better do 3/4. Maybe you better bite the bullet on a point. 5 years starting to roll over here a little bit, but just in a trading range. And everybody's bashing Powell, Dan. Tell me somebody who's saying Powell's doing a great job, other than maybe Joe Biden, if he even knows who Mr. Powell is. All right, everybody. That's about it, Dan. Greg, what does open interest at 400 indicate? Well, I really have to look at it and see how much it's changed. But what you would look at, and it looks like there's 2 expirations here because I see 2 quotes, the way it shows it on TC 2000, which I don't like. But let me just look at 4,000. 4,000, 39,000 open interest on calls. And on the puts, 4,000. So the put side expiring today are 46,000. And the call side, like I said, was 39,000. So it's going to be a sticking point when it gets there with all those trades in opposition of each other. And it may just get stuck there. And, it's like, which way is it going to go? Who's going to blink at that point? So just look at 4,000 as being an inflection point where there'll be a standoff, and then read the chart. See what it's doing at that time. Or come into the green room and we'll discuss it in the moment. To you, Dan.
Good morning, everybody. Happy 0DTE day. I have my headset on, so it might sound different than at home in my Yeti, but work with me. Not a whole lot of earnings, but a couple gappers here. We got very light inventory, all doing fine. A couple in the Bitcoin space. We had a beautiful trade yesterday, selling puts on this KSS, took half already. All right, cool. So retail's been getting killed this week. Everyone just blowing through the expected moves. So today, disaster du jour, which I call bearish gaps, but I just call them, look, they're excessive gaps on a real company, meaning it's not a little biotech that looks like it's going to go to zero. So we just put them in a 5-minute thumbnail here and see what happens. So I got Rost in the bottom right here, and 3 that we've been watching all week long, Walmart. So hey, look at the 15-minute chart up here with pre-market data, of course. It's now going sideways and above the 20. So momentum has slowed. So that is a definite put spread watch. Costco got whacked, but still no potent reversal yet, but maybe 400, 0 DTE, 30-minute high if there's any juice. And then yesterday, Target, or 2 days ago, Target got whacked and is still weak. I would prefer a couple more down days because even though there's a big void, it looks ugly. Disaster du jour, right? Yeah, it is. It is. I use that with gaps. Here's the disaster of the day. Let's just go to this list now. A couple earnings and things. Glob. I see one print down here. I don't trust pre-market unless it's liquid. So I have no idea on that. AMAT flat was down, flat on earnings. It's a sell setup, but a deep retracement. I have no idea what to do with that. Big gap 486, gap's too big for me. So I don't know. I don't know what to do with it. We'll just watch it. Raul asking about Qualcomm. Raul, I'm not sure what you're specifically. Oh, you say you're short. Okay, got it. The daily looked short. It did. It's bearish daily, weekly. Now you have a gap to yesterday's high with a price void. So I would, figure out where your stop is, 10-minute high. But daily is still weak. Yesterday's tail, our retracement concepts, which Greg was talking about in the broader markets, which is why we're still bearish there, is yesterday's bounces into these ugly bars were not very deep. We still got Climos on the weekly. Now we're gapping up here. So, I told Greg pre-market, I'm like, look, we negated a big gap yesterday morning and now we're up, price for it. I said, 30-minute high, I'm day trade bullish, 30-minute high. This spider's right here. 10-minute high, I'm going to be checking out a 388 put spread. 0 DTE, of course. XPEV, some of these EV stocks we might want to keep an eye on. Here's one. There's a couple patterns like this that have rallied and gone sideways, like Dash. I posted. Well, this is not one of those. I take that back. This is just a double bottom, gapping over yesterday's high. I said let's definitely wait at least 10 minutes on that and see what it does. VFC 47 bucks. That's just a gap and a downtrend. I have no interest. You're gone. Flow. You're opening flat. You're ugly. You're ugly. Remember, Rocco, I don't know why my little brain just thought of that. Do you remember when you were in high school and they would have all those mama ugly jokes? Your mama is so ugly, she blank. They would have all these funny things. All right, Florida. That's I know, but we do some deja vu here. You know that. This I like actually. Breakdown failure greater than 100% retracement, small little pullback to support and gapping up. And this had earnings today, so that looks really good. I don't have my big screen, so I'm going to be short on thumbnails today. So Florida, let's put that there. Deer, Dow 30 getting whacked. That's one of the reasons why the Dow is lagging the other horsemen today. Gapping here, but it's a bearish gap. I have no idea what to do with this. Let's see, Jerry asking about XOM. Had a bounce. Jerry. XOM had a nice bounce from its 40% retracement, or 89 bucks. 40% from 89. It's not jumping out at me what you're saying. If you're just saying, we look at retracement levels from pivots, fluid moves. So a retracement that we would be looking at is this new low, took out this, so that's what's called greater than 100%. And if you're just eyeballing this, I'd say, yeah, yesterday's gap down was a third, but it wasn't a fluid retracement like that Florida. It's fine here, pre-market. So you might get a day trade out of that. Hood, now see, this is one that's having a bullish gap, 100% retracement, coming in controlled. See, when I say I want a controlled pullback, that's controlled. That's not one big ugly red bar filling the gap in one day. That's controlled. And you look at retracement, it's making the turn 40% from here to here, and it closed green. So this looks fantastic. So that I actually shorted puts on this yesterday. I said in the green room, $9 puts here. Pre-market, it's holding well. If one of you want to help me today with all these thumbnails, put Hood in a 5-minute thumbnail. It's looking really good so far. Angie, a subscriber, emailed that to us, and this is similar. It's, you know, Greg says similar but different to Florida. Breakdown failure greater than 100%, bullish consolidation on support, price void 1, 2, 3 weekly. So that looks good. Angie, target $6. If we get 85 cents out of a $5 stock, that's a home run swing trade. Deck, another big gap. I mean, this is rare to get this week, at least, to get big gap ups on retail, but you know, Deck here does decking 265. The gap's too big. I have no idea what to do with that. Citigroup gapped up on Buffett accumulation news, so I've been watching it here. Same concept as some of these others like Hood, etc. Big retracement, and it's bullish consolidation into this 50%. So once that's a bank, obviously, so we would also want to keep an eye on XLF. So that's a thorn right there. That the sector is still ugly as can be. Roku, another one. It's not 100% retracement. It's 60, but I like that that these are all inside bars of this bar. So I posted this as a put spread. Today's Friday, so Wednesday's high. Then this is nice support. So that's a put spread. Wednesday's high. GDX, we did a nice naked put on this yesterday. Gap over a red bar from a Climo, kind of, you know, makes a little W bottom. Sky H, we've been watching for bottoming patterns in a trading range, but big void. If this thing gets moving, you know, target $20. H yesterday, I like the bullish engulfing, so buyer stepped up. That's a 0 DT put spread if there's any juice. AMC, we had a nice put spread last week. I'm keeping it on my list. Maybe we do another one for next week. There's the Hood I mentioned. That looks great. 30-minute high. 30-minute high. I like that. All right, Florida here, middle window. Now it's gapping up to the high, so we got to let it settle down. Ross, bottom right. Let it settle down, but it's actually a bullish pre-market. Now my charts only start charting from 8 a.m. Eastern time, but gap down, and look, all these other bars held the upper 80% of this bar. So it's only not even 9:31 yet, but so far so good. Look, Florida is still moving. So I'm going to see. Let's see what the juice bar is for 0 DTE, how far we can get away. Wow, Greg, 65s. 65s right now are bid 45 cents. That ain't bad. You know, if you wait for it to take out the high, you're not going to get 45 cents, but that's far away. Oh, wait, I'm looking at the wrong stock. No, I'm not. Rost right here. Okay. All right, Rost.